Hello and thanks for watching this video about Terraria. Uh, in this video, I'll be showing what I found to make a excellent AFK farm mainly for stars, but it'll also get a lot of gold and items thanks to the blood moon. And thanks to the celebration 10th anniversary secret world, you can do it as soon as you get about 2 platinum in your main world. To make this world, or to make this AFK farm, I started on the side. I started the beach I started on and ran a rope up to the top because you'll need the rope to lay all the platforms and conveyor belts. And using the Celebration 10, and why I say it's thankful they added it, is because the world starts with the steampunker to buy the conveyor belts. It'll cost approximately 8 gold, 72 silvers, and 42 copper, or we'll just say 9 gold to buy enough conveyors for the first layer. That's 2,072 each of the clockwise and counterclockwise conveyor belts. You'll need approximately 4,200 platforms. Yeah. A couple hundred pieces of rope to get up there. And you'll actually want a little bit more because you'll probably want to do it from drop a rope in other places to get up and down. You need 1 bucket of lava and 3 blocks. To start with, you just need 1. 3 blocks. I used the green stone from the dungeon for the exact center. One bed to set a spawn point and to fast forward through the daylight. Wood, some back walls, torches, and the other miscellaneous stuff to add NPC rooms. And I started this with 2 pylons, a forest and an ocean, so that I had a pylon at natural spawn and 1 in my AFK location. That way, if I ever disable the spawn point bed by accident and leave the game, I can still get back up there easy. After doing a full explore of the map from one side to the other, ground level, that way you know what you're dealing with. One thing I did was I cut the three wide trough down to the underworld to separate the Crimson from the rest of the world, because even staying in the initial mode, the Crimson will still spread slowly, and the last thing you want is for it to get to your spawn point. Suggested equipment while you're doing this. Have the GPS or silver watch, silver gold watch, so you have some sort of in-game clock and a depth meter, so you can know on a small world it'll be 552 to build your walkway. And I specify the 552 because when you get to the center to build your AFK spot and NPC home and transport place for your pylon, it'll sit at 550. Now, my average for a 6 to 7 hour AFK session seems to be anywhere between 750 to 800 stars. Good RNG, I've gotten nearly 1,000, and bad RNG I had somewhere around 550 to 560, and probably a ton of loss. But you definitely want it on a small world, because all these numbers that I said, even though other than the conveyor belts was approximate, it's cheaper. That's what I'm looking for. The word I was looking for. Now, as you can see, I made it all the way. I'm now all the way over to the other side. And the biggest reason you want a lot of extra rope is once you clear all the mobs, mainly the harpies, you want to put some rope down so you can go up about 3 spots, 3 rope pieces, or 3 blocks to start your conveyor belt on top of. Without that, there's no way to place the conveyor. And the biggest annoyance throughout the whole build is getting smacked by harpies. They'll knock you around, they'll disrupt everything you're doing. So I found having a imp or an imp and a sparrow at least slows it down. Plus, having a rope on each side of the map to get up to the platform is handy if you decide you want to explore that world. But whatever you do, don't beat the wall of flesh, or don't progress the world. The only boss fight you should run into is Cthulhu's Eye, because that's random. And you should be able to take him out at some point when usually get hit before you finish clearing the surface, the map surface. Now, as you can see, you really can't place your conveyor belts. So once you get the one placed on the top of the rope, you're good. Another handy thing to have while making this is like the Skeletron arms, the web slinger, one of the hooks that shoot out multiples. That way, even without the platform, you can, once you get the initial piece started, you can use those to move down the conveyor. Now, at the hard number of 2,072 conveyors per, there should be 13 left of both the clock and counterclock conveyors when you reach the center. The extra 13 are in case of small problems or adjustments you might need to make while you're AFK. Like, as you'll see at the very end, after a few AFK sessions and a bunch of blood moons and the gold you get from it, I ended up buying more conveyor belts and using the platform. I placed them at the 250 mark, the spot just below the platform, and ran them in from both ends, and then put a angle up to my lava pit. You'll actually be able to take out the eyeballs and just make it quicker. You'll eventually want to have the whole area on the 3 blocks lightly covered in lava, and that's why I said you might want a second thing of lava to raise the level up at that later time. But we'll get to that when we get to the AFK spot. But like I said, the most annoying thing is all the harpies. I think I almost got all my gold back just from killing off the harpies, building out the platform and then the conveyor. Now, one thing you'll run into, especially on the small world, are all the floating islands. On this map generation, I got lucky and only had one of the little extra rain clouds they add that had to be cut down to get through. Sometimes you might have more, sometimes you might not have any. It just depends on generation. Because that's one thing about this world, it never really generates the exact same way. Like I said, I tried to pick up all the money I could because this is actually a very expensive build, all told. Now, the biggest reason I'm saying you might want to add a second set of conveyors is because first, the blood moon, if you just leave the wooden platform, they'll come up to your AFK spot. So until you get the conveyors in, I leave a hole and they just drop down. Also, this doesn't catch, this one layer of conveyor belts does not catch 100% of the stars. I think it catches about 90 at a guess. I haven't done much on the ground during a starfall. Now at this point I finished both conveyors. Full length of the map. I was going to walk back, but decided since I have the and yes, I took off my speeding boots, and as you can see from the conveyors, I have 14 of both left. The biggest reason I did this farm was using the star shooter. I just burnt through ammunition on the hard mode bosses and just couldn't keep up. Now the whole thing's complete. Conveyor belts and platform. Now the first thing you want to do, the last thing you want to do is add the lava. Because once you do, if you're not there, it will destroy any and all items. Place your bed directly under, and the dead center of the conveyor belts is the dead center of the map. If you check the depth meter where it says where it gives your degrees, if you got a GPS or something like that, it'll say where your center is and if you're 1 degree west or 1 degree east. So before you add the lava, make sure to take a hammer and widen those, or angle the conveyor belts at least. And then take out at least 4 blocks of the pathway so that zombies aren't beating on your door while you AFK. Because you know they'll eventually break it down, and if you leave it running all night while you go to bed, you'll be dead God knows how many times, wasting the whole AFK session. Now, eventually, like I said, and I show a bit of it in the video, I'll angle I'll put a rope down on the right side from the platform so I can get up and down towards the center of the map. I finish cutting off the crimson from the rest of the map so it doesn't spread and ruin everything I've done. And Eventually, I finish a conveyor belt underneath the platform going to both ends, and it catches at least a few stars that I'd normally miss, because even while building or checking things out, I'd find a star occasionally sitting on the platform instead of having gone on the conveyor belt. And the bed's there mainly to fast forward between 4:30 and 7:30. You'll collect a lot of the triggers for the blood moon. So if you're feeling really up to it, you can trigger a blood moon at any time. Now, I've only tested it for a week, and between the natural blood moons occurring and all the stars I've gathered, I was actually able to make a full stack of jester arrows, which really helped in my hard mode boss fights later. Plus have a couple of thousand of stars for the star shooter, which really helps with the worm-like bosses. Big time. And before the video's over, I'll show a quick clip of not quite finished, because I ended up adding an area to let to grow potion plants up here, so that if I'm got it up for the day and doing other things, I can let them AFK and occasionally go and collect medical herbs for my main world. Especially since I was having trouble getting deathweed. And pre-hard mode, you seem to get the blood moon a lot. Now, as you can see, I extended the entire area for 5 blocks wide, added a second bucket of lava, and at this point in the game, the conveyor belts only reach probably half my visible screen past the end of my visible screen. And it was mainly just to bring in every zombie for a blood moon. Once I finished it to both ends of the screen, though, and removed, I got a little carried away on the one side. It almost made it to the end of the crimson. But having done that, I'm not losing out. Let's just put it that way. And a part of me has been thinking, if I ever redid this, I'd take out the floating islands and then lay it. Thank you for watching, and I really, really hope this helps.